Hello, everybody.
Hey, Ben.
How are you doing? You okay?
Hey. I'm not too bad. You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, mate. Yeah. Good day today.
Good. Been a good day. It's been cold.
It's very cold here in the UK. I've actually went out and bought a brand new coat today. I've given up with the shorts and everything else. I've gone for a full-on coat now. So
it is crazy to think. Sort of like 10 days ago, it was 30 degrees, and yesterday it was 9.
Yeah, and apparently this week it's going to be cold for the first half and then warm up to 20 again by the end of the week. It's crazy. What's happening here?
Oh God, I think Boris is in charge of the weather as well. That's why it's such a.
Oh, that's why it's going wrong. Damn.
Anyway, that's enough politics. Evening to everybody in the chat. Thanks for joining us. Great to see everybody. Apologies for the slight change in schedule, but unfortunately, due to internet provider issues, our guest and colleague Elmaz wasn't able to join us tonight. So we're going to postpone that to another time, and she'll be joining us to look at how technology and art go together, both in the classroom and from a point of view of distance learning as well. So we had to kind of quickly throw some things together, and we thought, you know what, we'll have a bit of a play around with virtual escape rooms, which is something we both had to go at, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, definitely. It's exciting. I'm looking forward to this one.
Absolutely. So it's one of those things where it came from. Really, is I love doing escape rooms in real life. I quite often go and do them with my friends Dean and Jim, and we love to kind of get stuck in a room together, mainly just because we love each other so much, and the extra challenge of getting out is good fun as well. But we do really enjoy them, and I wanted to find a way of replicating that in the classroom to enable students to develop their resilience more than anything. That ability to, you know, make a mistake and go back and keep trying and keep bouncing back and not be put off, and to try and get to that end goal, which was something I felt was really lacking. So I started doing it about 3 years ago, probably, as sort of very sneaky ways of getting an end of term assessment in at the end of term, with the students not realizing they were doing an assessment and thought they were just having a fun lesson. Because, you know, they always walk in at the end of the term, sir, can we watch a video? And it's like, no, because you're only going to see about an hour of it. It'll be the same video you saw last term and the term before. It's completely pointless. Let's do an escape room. And they're kind of like, oh, yeah, that sounds good. And then I just make it an assessment, but don't tell them. And obviously, if they manage to escape, I know they've learned what they should have learned. So I started doing it with languages. I did it because I'm a Spanish teacher. And French as well. So I started doing it with languages, but then I kind of worked on that, changed it around. I did some virtual escape rooms for staff as well, in terms of staff training. And then, of course, when COVID hit, it was an ideal opportunity to do to go into a little bit more detailed from a virtual perspective, and that's where it all came from, really. And Ben, you've done similar things, haven't you?
Yeah, so you know, the inspiration really come from you, Darren. I haven't said that before, but here I am live on air telling everyone it was you. But you inspired me to do it ago. And you know, the response I had from students and parents from making this escape room during lockdown was phenomenal. You know, it's a good way of testing the stuff we've already learned, and giving it to them in a fun way, rather than giving them a piece of paper, right, here's a test, as you said earlier, is making that interactive and fun. And the parents alone loved it, and they asked us to make one for like an 80s style music escape room for them to do themselves as well, which I haven't got around to be honest, but it was definitely a lot of fun making it, and the kids really enjoyed it, and that's what it's about, isn't it?
It is, and you know, I'm sure you remember the 80s really well, Ben, so
yeah, me, I was there everywhere.
Yeah, definitely. Sadly, well, not sadly, I was definitely there. And you know, what a great alternative to a kind of quiz night and things like that with the family. If you are in a situation where you can't socialise, you know, it doesn't have to be about learning. It's actually just really engaging. And what hopefully we're going to show tonight is it's not that difficult to put together, and it can all be free. So what we've planned to do is really string everything together. Some of the tools we've used in recent episodes. So we're going to look at things like Google Sites, Google Forms, Thinglink, Tour Creator, Adobe Spark, Wevideo. Depends on how much time, really. But we're also going to kind of take ideas from you guys in the chat as well. So please do, you know, join in and share with us ideas and inspiration and things like that. Okay.
I look forward to it. Let's get started.
Let's go for it. Right. Let me just share my one of many screens. There we go.
Oh, here we go. Showing off again.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was a site that I put together originally for a demonstration, and then I turned it into a site for my students as well. So this one was put together to kind of teach teachers how to create an escape room, and it's just built on Google Sites, and it's quite simply a one-page Google site. Okay, so that's all that's there is one page, and it goes in several stages. So there's 3 stages to it, and what you'll notice is there's an introduction here. There's stage 1 with some visual clues and an embedded Google form. And then we go on to stage 2 with some more visual clues. And then finally stage 3. And then the final lock requires a day of the week. You know, a little bit of a clue as we're going along, a little bit of a subheading down the bottom there, but all on one page. The way this works, though, is that the embedded Google form is set up as a branching form using sections. So students or anybody completing it can't move on to the next part of the Google form until they've correctly identified the correct answers to this first section. So we've used response validation to enable only the correct answer to be given. And it's only when all of these answers are correct that the students will get the option to go next, move on to the next stage. That then repopulates, and then they move on to stage 2. So it's pretty straightforward, really. Okay, so I'm just going to show you the back end of that. Okay, so here we are. It's just as you can see. There's, if I click on pages, there was a background page in there, but that's hidden, so nobody can see it. So it is literally just the home page, and all it is text, different sections. That's just an embedded image that I created using geekprank.com, which gives me a kind of a mock screen. And I definitely made sure I had lots of different bits and pieces in there, like numbers and other things that might throw people off, and emojis and stuff like that. Then, quite simply, added into the form some questions that they might need. So they're looking for a 4-digit code, they're looking for a text code, they're looking for a numerical code, and a phrase code. And that could be anywhere on that page. And when they open up the Google form, obviously they get the option to just basically start filling this in because it's embedded. So if we go into the form itself, I'm just going to pop that out. So let me just go into the drive. There we go. Ooh, excuse me.
I've got to say, I've given this particular one a go, Darren, and I've got to say I didn't get much further than the first stage. So
did you not?
If that's any consolation to people, maybe we should give it to some of the people at the end and see if they can figure out how to get out.
I'll tell you what. Let me let's copy the link. So, and I'll tell you what I'll do. I won't throw away any clues.
Yeah.
Okay? I'll just put this one out here for people to have a go at. But basically, they're looking for a 4-digit code, so it must be 4 digits, and then it's going to correctly allow them to move on. So you can see I've made all of these required questions. The response validation is it must be exact. I will give you a little clue in that obviously you need to look high and low, and that's all I'm going to say. Okay, so high and low is where you need to look for the kinds of answers you need. Okay, and obviously it does build resilience. Once you completed stage 2, you then move on to stage 3 and so on. So it's very, very easy to put together. The bit I wanted to show really was the construction of it. As I said, this was made using geekprank.com, and you can make those really easily. So if you just go to geekprank.com, it gives you the option to select lots of different ways of doing things. Okay, so you can obviously click here and you can have a Windows fake XP simulator if you want to. You can maybe have other options. Where are we? It's just taking a while to load there.
Windows XP, that was a very old system, wasn't it? That
wasn't it just? Okay, so you've got the option there, but you can use Windows 7, you can use Windows 10, you can have like matrix rain going on. You can have it. There's your screenshot. So if I just click on that, there's my screenshot generator. It gives you the option to choose your date and time. So I might choose Sunday at 17:30, for example. If 19:30 was going to be one of the correct answers, I could link an image in if I wanted to. So it's got like an image in there as well. Or it could just be something quite simple like, hey you, how you been, for example. And I click that as send, and it puts that in as the first person. Okay. And then if we go not bad, you can see it adds it as the same person. So we don't want to do it that way. We've got to make sure we're the senders and the receivers. So now we click receive and we go not bad. You pop it in that way and receive. You can see you get the conversation going on. Once you've got your conversation, you can see there you've started to get a timestamp in there. So already, if this was going to be like a time clue that you wanted a 4-figure number, you've got 1913 at the top. You've got 1930 there. You've got like HYB, which looks a bit suspicious. You've got the U, which might look a bit suspicious. So you can play around with that. Okay. And then you can just screenshot it and then you just embed it into your website. Okay. So nice and easy just through the screenshot generator. The other parts of the page, here, for example, this is where I used Google Drawings. So I just found an image of 5 test tubes. I put it into Google Drawings and I added some extra aspects to it quite slyly. And I'm not going to give too much away, but if you look very carefully, and you might need to enlarge the screen, you might find some clues in there. And then over here, we've got these 3 random images which don't appear to have anything to do with anything at this stage. Okay. Then later on, there's also a random periodic table of elements, which seems to be sitting here and not doing very much. There's a YouTube video here, and there's a clue in the question that tells you or gives you an idea what to look for. So they play the video and might find the answer. I can see Shannon's got the 4-digit code already. Okay. And then finally, right at the bottom, we're looking for an electrical lock that requires a word code of 5 letters that's in here. And that is case sensitive. And then finally, the final lock requires a day of the week, which if you're a big Cure fan, you should get quite easily. Okay. So this is really easy to set up. Down the bottom here, like I said, you need to hunt high and low, but you need to think quite cryptically in order to find the answers. So that's one of the ways that you can start a very, very simple Google site as a virtual escape room. And like I said, I've done it previously with things like languages. And I just want to show you just how easy that is to do. Okay. So I might call this one, for example, Spanish escape room. And as an end of term assessment, it might be that we've been studying, for example, the topic of the town. Okay. So I might make sure that I'm collecting their email addresses. So just make sure that's happening. And I'm just going to turn off the restriction. But from the point of view of making sure we've got that, and I'm going to click save there. I'm going to ask my first question. So I always put question 1 in just to make it easier. And I would say complete the sentence. Okay. And what I might do is in the description, put a sentence. And here, oh, there we go. And And it might be something quite straightforward and not too complex to get them started. Okay, oops, get my spelling right. Okay, and I'd be looking then to choose the correct answer to fill in that option there based on what we've learned. So I'd make it a short answer and I'd make it response validation. So I'd go to the response validation, I'd change it to a regular expression that must match the Spanish word for because, and then I can put an error in there. It might be something as silly as that, you know, that they just get the message. That's not right because it's wrong, in the hope that they pick up on the word because and then maybe get it right. Okay, and that becomes your first question. Now, you can either carry on and have more than one section in there, or that could be your first section. And then you just add a second section here, which might be, you know, to do with, I don't know, the places in the town, for example. So you might call it Mi Pueblo, and it might be something simple as you might put in a group of pictures in there. So I might add an image. Let's go for a Google image search. Let's go for cinema. Okay.
I love the cinema.
So do I. I haven't been for a long time. Okay.
No,
so we put an image in there. And we might just have just a simple question there. KS, apologies for the accent for the Spanish people watching. We'll take out the option 1 naming there. We make it, rather than multiple choice, we make it a short answer. Oops, sorry. My mistake. Bear with me again. Let's get that back in.
Just whilst you're doing that, Darren, got a really good question from Stephanie here. Good Steph, asking how long should each part take? Is there an ideal time?
Yeah, I think it depends on how you're doing it. So, for example, the ones I was doing in class with students, I worked on it taking probably around about 45 minutes on the basis that it would be completed within a single lesson. And then had the option, and this is the beauty of using something like Google Classroom, you can give clues without giving the clues to everybody. Because if the students are working remotely, if you've got someone who's really stuck, you can send them a private message with a clue, or send a number of students, because you've got the option to select students, a clue to move them on. Or equally, you can either throw in a bit of a curveball to put somebody else off if they're making it too easy. So there's always a little bit, like you do with the real escape rooms. Sometimes there's somebody watching, and, you know, and you can put your hands on your head or sing a song if you want a clue, kind of thing. So you can do something along those lines. So
and I play sort of similar tactic there with you, Darren. I'll try and get it done within a lesson, so you know at least we can next time if there's something someone has struggled on in particular, we can then recap that point. So I'd sort of take similar tactics to you there, and I'll show mine in just a little while what I've done with mine.
Absolutely. And you might say, for example, here it's a bit like English, which is a bit like my typing. It's a bit like English, but not actually English. Okay, so regular expressions got to match it. So they look at the picture, they've got to type in the correct answer. Okay, and that becomes your Google form. So me gusta, they'd put in their email address. Okay, and then they'd have to. Let me just put mine in there. There we go. So we put in there por qué, and if I spell it wrong, it won't let me go any further. But if I spell it right, it does. And I get to here, mi pueblo, ¿qué es? And if I just put in here the wrong answer, cine, without the el or the la, it won't let me. If I put it in correctly, it will. Okay? And obviously here, at this point, your response has been recorded. You could move them on to another section. So in your responses, in your form, in your settings, where you've got your presentation option, you could be, great, now go to stage 2 and add a link in there to the next stage potentially, which may or may not be on a Google site. It could be a Thinglink. It could be a Wevideo that they've got to watch and find answers for. It could be anything you like. Okay. So you could get that as a particular option. Okay. Is there any more questions while we're there?
Don't think so at the moment. No, we've got some comments coming from Shannon saying I think that the asynchronous would be better in a virtual setting. And we've got Stacey just saying that she'd use this with her mentoring groups, but they only have 30 minutes every day, so asynchronous would work better for her as well. So just people sort of discussing where, in what setting they'd use it really.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be careful. I set it to a group of staff just for a challenge at the start of lockdown. And as you can imagine, some people have still not cracked it, and others were texting me every 5 minutes going, is it this? Is it that? Can I have another clue? I really want to beat so-and-so. So obviously from a staff point of view, it was really good fun, and it was quite good fun to watch, like, the cogs turning, even being virtually. But yeah, the option to use things like breakout rooms if you've got a Giuseppe account, or the options to use the private messaging in Google Classroom are really, really helpful, because you can then give that one-to-one support to help students. And equally, of course, they could do it in teams. So you could preset your teams, and then a certain number of students put it all together. And you might have, this is where you find, students who've got a sudden ability that you maybe wouldn't have noticed normally, that they will see these things really quickly. And sometimes the most logical thinkers really struggle, and those that kind of look at it really simply find the answers really quickly. So it's a nice way to even things out as well sometimes.
Definitely.
Do you want to pull yours up, Ben?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll just pop mine up. So mine's a little bit different to yours, Darren, in the fact that mine's just a Google form really, rather than embedded into a Google site. But the way it's built is very similar. So I've gone with a tactic of mine was called Save the Cookies, being that this was for year 7 and year 8, so our sort of 11 to 13-year-olds during lockdown. So the first sort of section was just about gathering their name and who's in their group and what class they're in, so we could filter the results later on. But really, we're looking at testing their musical ability, because anyone that doesn't know, I taught music last year. I'm not there anymore. I just teach IT now. But last year I was teaching music. So this is what I did for my students during lockdown. So we just got to start with some very simple true and false questions. So this one here, is the treble clef played with the right hand on the piano? True or false? So I set that up so I could. I set that on a response validation, I think, on there. So choosing which one's right. Also put some photos in here just to aid in terms of helping with this question below. So the whole first section was just true and false answers, and then they're asked for a code at the bottom. So I've given them an example so they can have a think about how they're going to do it. So I've just put in here true, false, 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 true. So I asked them to put the text at the bottom, and that's where the response validation is, at the bottom here. So I've got, obviously here it says regular expression matches, true, true, false, false, true, and that was the answer to get through the first stage. So if they didn't get that right, again, we have this error message pop up that Darren showed us earlier. I've just put, this is not quite right, please try again. So you can put whatever you want in there. Now, after that section, they've managed to, it's all based on different bits. So this is getting out of the music classroom. The next bit is getting down the lift. They've got to, get into the lift, but need a code, a 5-digit code to get into the lift. So what I did is I downloaded some songs, made a bit.ly, and in effect, these files are named in my drive. So when we preview this, students would see. Let me just try and preview here, see if it works. Let's just fill in this information. If I can spell properly. Both having this problem tonight, aren't we? Let's put Darren White in there. Short and sweet. There we go. Right. So let's just get this first bit right. True, true, false, false, true. True, true, false, false, true. Right. So next bit, we'll get through to here. So you got some links here for songs. So these will be in my drive and shared with all students. And they click on the song and they'd have to listen for a number in the song to get the 5-digit code. So we have five songs here, and each one would have a number in. So I just picked some popular songs in there to put in, and again, response validation to make sure they get the right number there. So I've got 7, 8, 5, 2, 3. So I just picked some songs that had numbers in. That was actually a little bit more difficult to find than I thought it would be, to be honest. Thinking about it afterwards, but it did take a little while to get that. So once I got through that bit, so they've now looked at true and false questions. They've then done a listening activity, and then moved on to looking at understanding the notes on the treble clef scale. So we're looking at these notes here and have to name the notes and put the code in at the bottom. So in the same way, we had a response validation there. So 7, 8, 5, 2, 3. Just get through to the next bit. So we'd have all these notes here for them to see, and they just put that code at the bottom. So I'm just going to go in and see what it is because I can't remember. I put badge in there. So these notes are spelled out badge. So that's a B, A, D, G, and E. So you can see there I've just written out. Well, I've got those notes on a scale. They have to read them, and it's sort of testing their knowledge in a fun way. I don't quite realise it's an exam, as Darren was saying earlier. So it's a great way to get them thinking about things. And then the last one was just, again, had another song in there and then some multiple choice answers. So I'd have to pick, listen to music and pick out the different bits and pieces. So it's another listening exercise that they'd have to do. So they just pick all this stuff up, put in the right answer. And when they get the right answer, we create them a little badge that they can download and show their friends, family, put on their email signatures and stuff like that as well. So it's really giving them the incentive to almost complete it to get the badge at the end. And the people in the class have sort of got the top scores and did it the quickest. There was prizes on offer, or they're entered into a draw at the end of term. So it's great for students to go through and see this, and it was really, really simple to make. You know, this one, because I'm a perfectionist, I spent a little bit of time writing up some notes before I did it. Not everybody has to do that, but that's what I did. I spent a little bit of time writing everything out and structuring it because I'm a bit like, I want to know exactly what I'm making before I make it, rather than sort of winging it as I get there, as some other people do. But I like to make sure everything was planned in advance and I had the right answers ready, so I could just drop it straight into a Google form, set up my response validation, and send it off to students. So, this is the one that we sent to to students, and this is, the parents really enjoyed doing it with the kids as well. So, the only thing I wish I would have done at the time is put like a little timer on there, which you can get as an extension. I didn't do that at the time. I wish I sort of had, so I could see who completed it the quickest. But definitely, this is one of many that I'll be making moving forward. I definitely think the end of term assessments will be done in this way now. As Darren said earlier, it's so much better than telling them it's an assessment and putting a bit of paper in front of them. If you give them a computer, they don't tend to see that as an exam normally. So, spicing it up a little bit, throwing a little bit of difference in the air is really good for the students, I think.
Definitely, yeah. And, people commenting in the chat, Steve's sharing, he's done similar things with his students. He uses Certify them to generate certificates. I've done the same with Autocrat as an add-on for the Google Sheets. And Steph also saying, what a great way to provide work for students if you're not going to be there, because, better for a supply teacher to literally be able to say, somebody who's covering your class, you've got an hour, literally get them logged on, and all they've got to do is solve it between them and see if they can crack it in that time or whatever. So lots of options there in terms of being able to follow it up with a certification or a badge. It doesn't have to be a certificate. It could be a digital badge or whatever you like. But really, really good fun as well.
And it's great to have a little story behind it as well, because then you can follow up and you can make sequels to it as well. Almost, you can be as creative or as uncreative as you want to, really, can't you? the possibilities are endless. You know, we did one here as it says just about you know, them being, well, can you break into the kitchen before the cookies are burnt in the oven, for example? And we had different rooms around the school they'd be in. So they'd leave the restaurant, leave the music classroom, go down a lift to get to the atrium. Then they'd find the dinner ladies are waiting at the atrium and wouldn't let them through without a code. And then the last one, they have to answer the following questions correctly to get into the room. So, you know, it's sort of putting a real life application to it and something they recognise and know of into there as well. You know, I could have put some photos of the school in there. That would have been great for them as well. You know, hindsight, I would have done stuff differently, but at the time the kids and parents loved it. So, you know, it's just a different way of putting a bit of, I suppose in a way, gamification into your classroom, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think there's, you know, what you've said there about, there's an element as well of, you know, not running before you can walk. And particularly if students are working remotely, they're not going to have as much access necessarily to support. They're not necessarily going to know how to use lots of different tools straight away. So introducing one at a time is a good way of doing it. Yeah. So sites and forms is a nice, easy way. But as we said at the start, you can easily then link to any subject. You can link to a weight clip. You can add a link into Tool Creator. All sorts. Really easily. I'm just going to bring my screen back on because I saw somebody mention something about maths in the chat. You know, it's very easy to do something like this as well. Just grab an angles picture for maths or something like that. Give them one piece of information and then set a question that's asking for another. So if they know that, you know, B is 105 degrees, hopefully they'll then know that that's 105 degrees because it's an opposite angle. Then they'll divide those two and gradually they'll work out what all of the others are. And that will be the correct answer. So, you know, you can do it with all sorts of different questions in any subject. You can, as Steve's saying, you can use Bitmojis, you know, 360 aerial photos, anything you like. I just pinged up, I kind of started working really quickly on a Thinglink earlier. I went and found a 360 image from somewhere in the world, as if this was going to be something like a geography question. And I've just added a little Thinglink onto it here. So when you click on that, it just says, where are we?
You're going to need to have a good look around and find out where we are.
Now, I've also added a voiceover to that, but obviously you can't hear it because I'm not sharing the tab. But it basically says you're going to need to have a good look around to find out where we are. So they might get the link to this Thinglink through the website or through the form, but the answer then has to be filled in the form. And they're going to have to have a good look around, and it might be somewhere they recognize because you've studied it. So you can have a good look and click around and look up, but also look down as well. And hopefully, if they look around properly, they'll realize they're at Cloud Gate in Chicago, the Millennium Park, and that will be their answer that they would put in. But there is required to kind of use a little bit of common sense and look around and explore and find things out for themselves. So you can do that.
And that's giving them responsibility for their own learning as well, you know, exploring and opening up their eyes rather than expecting to be given the answer. They have to work the answer out, and that's great.
Absolutely, and dead easy to do, you know. So, you know, we're in Chicago. So if I wanted to, I could, for example, I'm just going to edit here. If I wanted to give them a bit of an extra clue that we're in Chicago, potentially I could add a tag. I might add content or text or media. So let's say, for example, I'm just going to jump to YouTube, and I might randomly, because all young people are going to know songs by Chicago, for example, or here we go. So I might pick Chicago the movie, or I might pick something like this one here, or maybe this one here. Pick that up, just grab it. Okay, they would then hopefully open it up afterwards. So I can just add that into my Thinglink. I'm going to pop it in there. There we go. There we go. So that's gone in there. Okay, and then I might say, here's a clue. They would go and watch it. I might change the icon to say that this is going to be, for example, I've got lots of options here. I can also upload my own, depending on my Thinglink account, but I'm just going to add that this one is a song. I might Also want to, here we go, where are we? Change the color so it stands out a little bit, and just click done on there. And now that's sitting there in my Thinglink. So as I'm looking around, there's that extra one to have a look at. Click on it, click on the YouTube link.
And it opens up for you. Look at that. That's brilliant.
But what I like about it, you know, it opens up really, really quickly, really, really easily, without any fuss. You know, it's lovely and slick. But then you can just come back. It comes back to where you were. You've not got to back to the same starting point every time, and then you've got to carry on searching.
So you pick up where you left off as well. So there's no need to restart. And that's something that, for our students, they got a bit of fun. You know, they can get quite frustrated when they have to keep doing things over and over, don't they? And for that, that simplicity of picking up where you left off, is great for them. Absolutely, and you can use with Thinglinks or with Tour Creator, you can use your own 360 videos as well, or your own 360 photo spheres. So it could be a photo of the restaurant in your school, or it could be, you know, the playground, or it might be, you know, your classroom. Particularly at the moment as well, if you are teaching virtually and the students are missing being in school, actually having a 360 photo of your classroom might be really useful for the students in terms of still being able to see their work on the walls, still being able to see the aids that you've put on the walls and things like that. It's a little bit of comfort for them as well, isn't it? You know, if they haven't been on the school campus or school site for a little while, you know, things might be a little bit difficult at home, and having that safe space might be really nice for them. Absolutely. And, you know, a few months back, we had Rachel on and we were talking about Tour Creator. And the great thing about it is there's so many pre-made tours on there. You don't even have to make your own. So, for example, if we wanted to do one about, I don't know, the Great Wall of China or Chichen Itza, for example, we can just take one that's already existing and build the answers into our Google form and just add in the information if we want to. So we've got all of this kind of information in there. So we've got 1,000 years, 1841, you know, all of this information is going to pop up as they're exploring. So these might be the kind of things. El Castillo might be an answer. El Caracol might be an answer. It could simply be, you know, as you're looking around, you know, how many images are there available, or what's the name of the big building with a strange top in the middle, and so on. So you can just ask simple questions without having to create anything for yourself, because it's already there. Now, how many columns are there, for example? And you might be able to find that information out because it's all in here somewhere. There are 200 of them. So that might be an answer straight away. I've not had to create anything. It's just there. All I need is the link to it to put that into my Google site or my Google form. So really, really straightforward. I just love how all these tools and stuff we've been looking at just integrate so smoothly within a G Suite environment. You know, things are so simplistic when it comes to this, isn't it? You know, students and staff alike can just access things so quickly and easily, and that's, you know, compared to what some of us might have had and had to have books and books or resources. Now you can do everything digitally, and it all just links seamlessly within one sort of hub, one place of which you go to. Everything's linked within there. It's great. Absolutely. And, you know, like you say, being able to create stuff quickly is all important. And I must admit, for every teacher. Yeah. And since lockdown, you know, we've all learned loads of new tools and things. And Spark is one that I didn't know about back in March or February or hadn't used. And it's so super easy. Again, this is just a short video I made in 3 minutes while I was waiting for Ben to join me just beforehand. This is for a number clue. Let's see if you can work it out. There you go. So just to play it again for you. See if anyone can put the right answer in there. It's a 4-figure code. Nice and simple. Just using stock images. Really, really quickly. Let's see if anyone can get it. Drop it in the chat if you recognise the code, or have you got the code. But super, super easy to do. If I just go back to Spark, I'll just show you how easy it was to do. We just go to the plus button. Spark is free, remember. Come down here to video.
You can choose a template or just create your own. It's entirely up to you. So just open up Spark. Close a couple of the other bits now. And I'm just going to call this one Escape. And there we go. And I'm just going to make up my own. So I'm going to have my first slide. Really, really simply, all I need to do is just find some stock images to put in there or videos.
Steph's got it. She's our winner. Steph. Good, Steph.
Look at that.
Look at that. First one.
There we go. So all we need to do is just add information. So we click on the plus. We can add video, text, or photo. So I'm going to choose a photo. I'm going to find 3 photos, and I want, for example, 8. And it's going to come up with lots of things that work in those kind of circumstances. And, you know, I might choose something really, really obvious like that, or something less obvious like that one. Add it in. That's your first slide. Then I'm going to add a second slide and just throw in another one. So in this case, I might want a 3. And it might just be something as simple as that, and so on. So you can just find your images really, really quickly. Really simple, 8, 3. This time we might not want a number, we might want a letter. So we might be looking for a Z, for example. If we're going for a particular code, see what it turns up. Look at that. So a little bit of cycling in there, for example. And just preview that, and there's your code. And it just requires the students to be thinking a little bit more laterally about what's in front of them. Okay, so really, really simple to do. Lots of different options, loads of different tools out there that you can use with it. Wevideo as well, exactly the same, because we've got so much stock content. Remember, Wevideo's got over 1 million bits of stock footage in there. Really easy to make your own GIF. So if we just wanted to make a GIF really quickly, I'll just come in here. With me a second, come out. There we go. So if I'm going to create a GIF, I'm just going to, there we go. Start creating my GIF. He says, there we go. So you can see your 45-second limit there.
1 minute.
Stop media. Let's find, for example, this might be a word phrase. So maybe we might want an I. And here we've got video and we've got, but if we just want images or videos, we can choose, or even we can be more specific about it and say, actually, I just want stock video. But there we go. We'll have an I in there. And then we might have, if we're making one, for example, for our other half, we might then look for something like love. You can see where I'm going with this one.
This is very cringy. I don't think my half would like this.
So there's a little short one there, and then of course beer. Yeah,
oh
that's
wow!
Going, right? Yeah. Oh, there's no beer. Okay.
It knew you were going to do that. It knew you were going to do it.
Alcohol. Oh, what about wine? No, there's no wine. Oh, drinking then. I think you're getting the message, basically. That's no good. What about a bar? See what we can find. Yeah, maybe. Oh, look, I love food. That'll do me.
That'll do.
Yeah, let's go with some food. So there we go. That might be my finished GIF, and obviously you can just preview it. And there we go. It's going to go along like that. So there we go. That's the eye. You might want to shorten it. You might want to lengthen it. It's entirely up to you. You can play around with it really easily. You've got your GIF ready to go. As soon as you're happy, you can just click finish, call it whatever you want. I would always say export it as a small, because then you're more likely to be able to reuse it in different places, and then export. And within sort of a minute or so, that's going to be ready for us to use. It's queued. I can go away and carry on working on something else while it's doing that, and it will send me an email when it's done and ready to use, and I can embed that into anything I like, really. I can put it straight into my web page. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So have we got any other questions or any other options that people have come up with I've tried to keep a bit of it. I know Steve, who's from South Tyneside, has been really active in the chat with some great ideas as well. It's great to see.
Just having a read through if there's any questions we've missed at all. I don't think we have. Just people just saying how great it is to see doing things like this and how creative you can be with the Google Forms and sites. And a lot of people saying they want to try it in their classrooms as well. So
absolutely, and as Steve says here, a good thing to do as well is to throw in some red herrings that make it look like they're going to find the answer really easily, and then really trips them up. And for those kids who are quite sharp, it does build the resilience. And one of the things I found was that sometimes the ones who are most used to getting it right all the time found this the most frustrating, because they're so used to kind of knowing an answer quickly.
Fine. Yeah,
exactly. And then they get
when they can't they get frustrated, don't they? Yeah, that's it.
Absolutely. And that includes me when I'm stuck in an escape room as well. I find it very frustrating.
I've never done a physical one, but once all this pandemic's over, I definitely want to try it. Maybe we should do it together one day. Brilliant
fun. Although what I would say is I did one with my family, with my wife and my daughter, where someone was required to go down a tunnel to find a clue. So I'm 6'5", and my wife's about 5'7", and my daughter at the time was about 5 foot. And guess who ended up going down the tunnel?
Was it you?
It was me, yeah. And because we had an argument about who could go down the tunnel, we ran out of time and didn't get out. We were about 30 seconds short of escaping in the hour. All because we had an argument about why is the biggest person going down the tunnel. But as a family, we learned a lot about that. Right? We learned a lot about whether arguing is actually worth it. And sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and get on with it. So
yeah, that's it. Well, life lesson learned there. That's I could see you doing life stories, mate.
What, Piers Morgan? I don't think I'd get it those, mate, to be honest with you.
So I'm just reading through some of these comments from Kim here. So there's no restriction setting on in the admin section of Wevideo for them blocking the bar and stuff. I don't think that's right. I think it's just it's probably I don't know if it's a safe filter on there. I don't think there is there?
No, I don't know, to be honest with you.
I don't think there is.
There you go, my GIF's ready, look. So I can just download that. That was good timing, and there we go. There's our GIF ready to play, and we can just drop it in quite easily. What I like about Wevideo as well is if we've already processed it, we don't have to redo it if we want to move things along. It's just struggling because I've got lots of things open at the minute. But you can push it straight out to Classroom, and you can edit the name and the description while you're there, and you can change the thumbnail and the privacy at any point. So it's really easy to work with, even if you think you've finished a project, which is great. You know, a real asset.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. So that's another thing I've learned today.
Yeah, and we've also learned that you're a Secret Steps fan as well, Ben. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh, am I? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where the 5 and the 6 and the 7 and the 8 came from the music.
Oh, of course it did. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
I'll see that lock and key. I'll let your secret out.
Yeah, we've all been dancing away in the background, honestly.
Oh well, yeah. Don't tell anyone. We're just between us guys, just the people on this chat.
Absolutely. So. So you know that's just our little take on how you might go about using digital breakouts and escape rooms, creating them for yourself in a nice, simple, easy way that doesn't necessarily need to take a lot of time. It's a quick Google form, excuse me, and then from there away you go. So it's I'm just reading Kim's comment. Never started editing a video until the source videos finish up. It does depend on the size of the source video.
Yeah,
Kim's saying. There are quite a few where I'll upload them and start working on them, and there's no problem at all. But what you can't do is finish the edit until it's finished uploading. So I guess it depends on sort of speed and everything else, and the size of the video as well. But you know, like I say, just our take on it, and equally. also, you know, an opportunity for us to show that we can do things for ourselves and we don't just get other people on to do our shows for us.
Yeah.
So,
we're doing that a lot at the moment, which leads us on to our next thing about who we've got next week. So
it certainly does.
We've got the one and only, the wonderful Steph Rothstein with us, doing a show that she's done a few times about seeing your true colours, and it's a brilliant one. It is really good. I've seen it once or twice now, and I'm so excited she's agreed to come on and do it with us on Short and Sweet. I really think it's gonna be a good one. I really think you should tell all the people in your schools about it next week to come and join us here, because you don't want to miss good Steph on our show.
What colour are you, Ben, by the way?
What colour am I? I think I've got it on my computer. I think I was gold. Top of my head. I think I was gold.
I'm a definite blue.
You're blue. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
But more about that next week, eh?
Yeah. That's not spoil the surprise.
Absolutely. Well, that's it from us for tonight, then, guys. If there's no further questions, thanks very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. We will get that Art Attack rescheduled as soon as possible, and have a great week, everyone, and we hope to see you next week with Stephanie Rothstein.
Cheers, everyone. See you soon.
Take care, folks.
Bye.